Hello, welcome to Health Talk with Nicole. Today, I would like to extend our conversation that we had earlier this month about bullying. Since we're full swing into the school season, I think it's appropriate for us to get just a little bit more information about bullying. To help me today, I brought with me Kathleen Paine from Calm Reflection Psychotherapy. She is a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm actually blessed enough to work with Kat almost every day. She has space right in the clinic, Elite Health and Wellness. So welcome, Kat. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
First, I think maybe it would be beneficial. Let's talk a little bit about what you do. Maybe some of your little specializations, the population that you work with the most, if you even have that. So just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, currently I work as a psychotherapist. I'm doing therapy with sort of all ages, often 8 years old and up, and specifically treating anxiety, depression, and people who are having negative memories that are affecting their lives negatively.
Great. And you specialize in EMDR, which
Yes.
is very exciting. I think that we'll have a whole nother section on that someday, but
Sure.
we'll touch upon it today, I think.
Sure, yes.
Excellent.
Do you want me to explain a little bit about what that is
please.
first? EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing Therapy. It's a mouthful, so we call it EMDR for short.
Yeah, much easier.
And what it does is it's a multifaceted type of therapy. It deals with the brain. It's a neurobiological intervention that also touches on sort of the way we think about ourselves, the emotions we hold related to negative memories. And so it targets negative memories in a similar way of the way that REM sleep does on a normal day-to-day basis. We go to sleep every night, and in the first 30 to 60 minutes, we are in REM sleep. Our eyes move back and forth, and we process our memories in the day. We make those memories less bothersome through that process. However, sometimes when things are more overwhelming or more extreme, our body will not go into REM sleep to process those memories, so they become stuck.
Wow.
So EMDR therapy is a way of forcing our body and our mind to address those memories in a calming way to help us work through it much more quickly than talk therapy ever could.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
It just, as you were saying that, it just makes me so much more passionate about the holistic way of healing, because I just read an article, I don't even remember where, and there was something on the news about how important sleep is. We all know how important it is, but do we? Do
Yes,
we know?
do we understand?
Because that just clicked with me, like, wow, so if you're not getting to sleep and you're worrying about, like I do, what do I need to do the next day? I'm trying to make the list in my head without writing it down. You know, it's actually causing a lot of harm.
Yes, it'll make it so that we can't move past those memories, and yes,
Wow.
it'll become problematic.
It's an incredible process. Our body is just so amazing if we set it up and let it, or I should say not set it up, but let it be what it is.
And let it do what it naturally
Wow.
does. Yes.
Wow,
Yes, and
incredible.
think about the school year. Children are, used to going to bed later in the summer. They aren't getting
Our
enough
household.
sleep as the school year begins, and if bad things are happening at school, they're not working through them in their
Wow.
natural way if they're not getting that sleep.
Wow.
Yes.
So let's dive right in then. Are you working with any kids? I know obviously you can't give us complete details,
Sure.
but is there bullying happening? I mean,
Absolutely.
give me your perspective. We heard from Tom Murphy earlier this month with a few strategies. I'm hoping that we could leave today with a few strategies that come from your background of knowledge.
Sure. There's definitely bullying going on in every school district in this state,
Scary.
probably in this country, and it is one of the number one reasons why people come. They may not. This time of year is when the school age children's referrals really amps up, it increases, and a lot of it is because they're afraid of those peer interactions that have been negative in the past, unfortunately. They may not define it as bullying because maybe they haven't been educated, but they understand that they're feeling anxious, they might have belly aches, they're not sure what to expect.
So it's not coming out always in the same way for each child.
Exactly. Yes, and some don't know that that teasing in the hallway actually is bullying. So they may not be telling their parents about that. They may not be talking to their friends about that. They may feel ashamed.
And does that build up over time?
And that builds up over time, and it makes them more anxious about the school day. It might affect their academics. It certainly affects self-esteem across the board. If it's not dealt with, it'll affect your adult life.
That's, it's interesting. I just planned my 20th high school reunion. I shouldn't date myself, but it was a fun experience. I planned it with a few of my prior classmates. We had a good time doing it, and we spread the word. And a couple of people, they said it was not a fun time for me. High school was not fun. Yes. I'm not going back. And I have a family member that said the same, that she won't, my mom, sorry mom, she didn't want to go to her high school reunion. It wasn't a fun time.
Wow.
So it really does affect you
20
years
30,
later.
40 years
and
later.
Yeah, we won't date my mom, but it's several years later. So it's like we talked about when Tom was with us. It has been going on since
the beginning of
time. So I wonder now, though, with our technology and things like that, my kids are a little bit too young to be plugged in right now. We are trying to not have that be other than school for their studies. But I wonder, do you think that, it's a no-brainer, right?
I think when we were children, fortunately, we could leave school and we could leave the bullying behind at least. Maybe a phone call would come in and we could choose not to answer that. Today, social networking, they
can be bullied and not even know about it because it's
behind their back on some. Yes, it's pretty awful because it never ends these days.
So tell me. Again, you can't get into details on each particular child, but tell me maybe a couple of strategies, or what can we tell parents or even students, the older students anyway, but maybe the parents of younger students, what can we do?
Well, first of all, open communication. Try to have open communication with your children. Check in with them every day. How was your day? Really, as a parent, you could share if you sense or you hear little tidbits about negative. Share with them your experiences with it. Help them feel like they're not alone. Open that communication. Don't handle it alone. Tell your children not to handle it alone. You as a parent, don't handle it alone. Don't go deal with the other person's parent. Yeah. Typically that doesn't go well.
Mama bear clause again coming out. You want to do that.
Pull the school in. Let the school staff know. They all have protocols, some better than others, in dealing with this, but you need to pull them in. If they're not aware, you don't know who else is also being hurt. So those are some tips. I would also say if your children can buddy up, they're less likely going to be a target. If they're in the hallway at their locker, but a friend is with them, typically that bully isn't going to go over there. Let's see. Walk away. Tell the bully to stop and walk away. Let them think that they're not getting to you.
So kind of remove yourself from the situation
and just try to ignore it. Go get help after, but don't let the bully know you're being affected if you can. Bullies thrive on knowing they're hurting people. So if they don't think they are, they'll move on.
Wow.
Yes.
It's very scary. It makes me speechless because it gets very emotional.
It's very
because
sad.
My kids have been involved in that. I would like to think that they haven't been on the other end. We sit down every night at the dinner table and we talk about something good we talk about a couple of good things, and we actually talk about a not so good thing.
That is
so
great.
I think, woohoo, I think
That's
maybe
wonderful.
I'm doing something right.
Absolutely.
We open it up, and a lot of times during the school year it comes up about that. And I'm going to ask you this. Lately it's been about other kids that they're seeing. What should a friend do?
Well, great question. If a friend could step in and just be that other person's support, that is a great thing.
Be their buddy.
Be their buddy. Be their buddy. Stand up for them. I think that's, maybe that person needs to go, the friend needs to go and get help if the peer who's being victimized is too shy to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me, I think what would be also very helpful, do you have any strategies that we could share today on how, kids today, I think, have so much anxiety.
They do, yes.
And it seems so crazy. They should be carefree. They don't have to pay the bills. They don't have the mortgage isn't due at the first of the month.
Right.
What is going on? There's so much anxiety. I think that we're pushing them probably harder than we used to.
So, yes.
There's so much more going on. I know in our household.
So much more aware. The children are so much more aware of what goes on in the world these days too.
That's a good point. We were just watching the news and some of the crises that are happening, and my kids don't really understand it, and they're asking questions, and I'm not going to lie to them.
Right.
It's right there.
Right.
And
but if you can minimize their exposure, that isn't a bad thing. We can't always,
Yeah.
so we talk openly, I think, at that point, within their developmental stage, if you can. But tips for dealing with anxiety in general: breathing, deep conscious breathing is huge. And I recommend that to everybody, regardless of whether they're having anxiety, because it is a time to just reconnect with your body and to let the world just be out there and not be thinking about it. So deep conscious breathing, 5 minutes every day, regardless of your anxiety level.
5 minutes is a good.
5 minutes.
Even at the little.
Even at,
because I have
2 minutes would probably be okay.
4-year-old probably,
that
at
would
least
be
just
too long.
introduce it.
Sure. But introduce it, and she'll
Just keep
probably
working.
love it and keep working on it. Breathing in with a longer out breath is important, because that's a release of that anxiety. So just spending and counting your breaths, because that keeps our brain focused. Otherwise, we'll forget we're breathing and we'll start worrying about what we were worrying about.
So that'd be interesting. I wonder if you help your children that you see, like before a test. I know
Sure,
some kids
absolutely.
get very nervous about test taking.
Yes.
Especially probably more high school, middle school, high school age
Sure.
maybe.
But those kneecaps, they do cause those
Oh,
little
that's
ones some stress. Yeah.
Gosh, that's crazy.
So I would say use that breathing at night. Remind yourself that you are prepared. Try to be as prepared as possible. That always helps. Remind yourself you're prepared, and it'll be okay. And you can just do the best that you can do, and you'll be okay. It may not be the grade you want, but you'll get through it. You'll get through it.
Not worth so much inner
isn't.
turmoil, and we could go on another topic of what that's causing in the body for
absolutely.
setting you up in the future.
Right. And with anxiety, if it's to an extreme, it will block our ability to function on that test. So if we can deal with it the night before, take those deep breaths the day of the test, and just
Kind of preparing,
and then use those skills in the moment as well. Yes.
Wonderful. So tell me then, I'm very intrigued about the EMDR stuff.
Sure.
Do you use that for any of your children that come in with a bullying report?
Oh, sure. Yes, and what that looks like is we figure out what the worst part of the memory is. Maybe there's many memories and there's the worst one, or maybe there's a worst part of that memory. And then what emotions did that bring up for you? Often anger, shame, anxiety, fear, helplessness. Those are just to name a few. And then on top of all of that, what does that make you think about yourself? How does that make you feel about yourself? Often children will say, well, I'm not good enough, or, nobody likes me, that kind of thing. I'm not likable. So we use those 3 pieces, and we target the memory by having them hold the negative memory in their mind while thinking about that belief about themselves. I'm not good enough, let's say. And then they move their eyes back and forth by following my fingers, just as they would while they were sleeping in that REM sleep.
Wow.
And that forces the brain to process it and move it beyond. And then when all is said and done, those negative emotions aren't coming up for them anymore. The memory may still be there, but the belief that I'm not good enough is gone, and the feelings that were associated with that are not coming up when the memory is brought up again.
Wow, that's so
Yes,
incredible.
it's very amazing.
I think we could talk about that for a long time.
It's very
maybe.
amazing. Yes.
Now, for the parents that might have concerns about their children coming home and discussing things, would you say that they should try to get a referral to come see someone like yourself or someone that does the EMDR?
Sure.
Do you think there's a time that's too early, or do you try to catch something soon?
I think the earlier you catch it, the quicker they're going to resolve it, and the quicker they're going to be back on that path to wellness. So not everybody needs that level. I mean, I think as parents, hopefully we know our children pretty well. But if you start seeing things like somatic complaints, those belly aches, those tension headaches, or I don't want to go to school today, Mom, kind of thing, but they don't have the fever and they haven't been sick the night before, those are signs that something more is going on, and it might be a good idea to address it.
And maybe only a 1 or 2 sessions.
It might just be a
something?
few sessions.
That's
yes.
fabulous.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, you'll be easy to find.
Yes.
I'll list everything on our website and on the Health Talk page. but other, therapists in the area,
Yeah.
how would someone be able to find someone that specializes in EMDR? Would they just Google it, or is
They
there?
could Google it, but you could go to www.emdria, it's emdria.org, and then you can just put in where you live, and it'll give you sort of a radius of the therapists in the area who
because
can
we
do that.
probably do have some viewers that are not in our area as well.
That's true, yes,
So.
yes, that's international, that website.
Fabulous.
Yep.
Wonderful. Well, I think that's some great information for parents and actually the children as well. I appreciate you coming on board today. I'm sure we're going to have other topics that might be helpful throughout the school year. So
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank
Kathleen.
you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you guys for watching. I appreciate that. If you have a burning health question that you would like me to answer on air, please visit www.elitehealthandwellnessvt.com. There's a place where you can submit a question. I hope you have a happy and healthy day. Bye-bye.